Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meetinghouse of Provincetown, where we affirm the inherent worthiness and dignity of every person, and where we support each other on our spiritual search for truth and meaning. My name is Shar Priolo. I am your worship host this morning. I serve on the worship committee and I sing in your choir, and I have been a member here since 1983. She's old. Welcome to all of you in the room, and welcome also to those of you joining us on the live stream this morning. Rev Kate is still recovering from pneumonia and doesn't have her full lung capacity back yet, so she's saving her breath for another time. Before we begin our worship service, I have a few announcements to share. I will give you the inside information, though, that she is on steroids and getting better, but it's a slow process. The main announcement is that this afternoon at 2 p.m. we will be having our second annual Singspiration event here in the sanctuary. This is a fabulous interfaith and interactive event where all the churches in town come together to sing hymns and songs from our different communities and traditions. This year, it's going to be a fundraiser for the Homeless Prevention Counselor. There will be a little reception afterwards as well. We hope you can join us. We hope you're all enjoying our winter spirituality series. Please check out the handouts on the welcome table and also on our website at uumh.org for a list of all the offerings. This week on Monday, we have Qigong in the morning at 8:30, both online and in person. And in the evening at 6 p.m., we have meditation on Zoom. Wednesday evening is our Quaker-style worship at 6 p.m., and that is open to all. It happens downstairs in Acker Bosworth Hall. And Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m., our yoga offering, usually led by Kate Wallace Rogers, will this week be led by Myra Cooey, and it will be a restorative sound bath with healing vibrations of various gongs and bowls. Ooh. Please bring your own mat if you can. There will be bolsters and blankets provided. Next Sunday, March 2, at 1:30 will be our Death Cafe, facilitated by Betsy Simmons. Bring your questions, wonderings, and ideas about what happens when we die. There will be a tea and cake and rich conversation throughout. We're also happy to announce the return of a beloved UUMH tradition, the Talent, No Talent Show. The people clapping have been to one before. It's one of the funnest nights in our community, so hope you can be there. Put it on your calendar if you haven't. It's March 14th, and that happens to be Pi Day. Pi as in P-I. Get it? It's March 13 or 3.14. For those of you who get the math joke, sign up to be in the show or to make a pie today at coffee hour or over the next few weeks. And finally, if you're here in person today, we hope that you'll join us downstairs after the worship service ends for coffee and conversation. Let's take a moment now to affirm our Meetinghouse covenant. You can find this printed on the purple laminated cards in your pews, but I'm going to say it line by line, and I wish that you would just echo it back to me. Love is the spirit of this Meetinghouse. This is our great covenant. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. Now, as we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us online to light a candle wherever you are. This way, we can feel connected even while we are apart. This morning, I invite Myra. She's psychic. To light our chalice for us. And I share these words by Brian C. Lee. We light our chalice as a symbol of the light within us and the life that flows through the world around us. It is our beacon as we search for truth. It is the warmth in our hearts for love, and it is the energy that propels us to action. May we be kindled by our time together. Thank you. Please join me now in singing hymn number 1031, 1031 in the Teal book. It's called Filled with Loving Kindness. Filled with loving kindness. This is a traditional Buddhist meditation, actually, where we send loving kindness out into the world. We'll sing it 3 times. The first time we'll use the word I. The second time we will sing you. And the third time we will sing we. Please rise as you are able. Thank you. Please be seated. I now invite Kate Wallace Rogers to do a reading.
Good morning. I'm Kate Wallace Rogers, and Rev Kate has asked me to lead the prayer this morning. During the prayer, or at any time during the service, you are invited to light a silent candle at the table to the right of the pulpit, where there is a journal to record your thoughts and prayers. After our prayer together, we will sing together Spirit of Life, hymn 123, number 123 in the gray hymnals. You can also find the words to this song printed on the purple laminated cards in your pews. First, we'll sing in English, then in Spanish. But first, I offer you Prayer in a Time of Awe by Maureen Killeran. Holy grandparents of the universe, energies of creation, endless mysteries of life, you are the music that sounded before our world was born. Sound and silence woven throughout the ages, far beyond the profound wisdom humanity has been able to touch. Be with us. Deepen our willingness to live without certainty, to take the risks of living on the edges of our creativity, to step beyond the boundaries of possibility and hope. Help us always to remember that we are, in our essence, the magic of star stuff, that we are kin to all that is and was and may yet come to be. Teach us to temper our impatience, to retain our conviction that what we do makes a difference, that even our smallest act can contribute to the good of a greater whole. Be with us in our uncertainties. Rejoice with our small triumphs. Comfort our losses. Remind us that we are never alone, not in our joys nor in our tears. In the blessings of our silence, may we feel your presence, something greater than we have yet been able to comprehend. Thank you.
Just want to tell you that you sing pretty. This first reading today is called The Orpheus Glee Club by Stacy Horn. From the book The Imperfect Harmony, Finding Happiness Singing with Others. First of all, can everybody hear me? Can you hear me back there? Jackie, can you hear me? You can't? I invite you to come forward. Anthracite is the most beautiful coal in the world. A coal car of anthracite emerging from the mines looks like a mountain full of dusty but sparkling black diamonds. It's also the hardest, densest, rarest, and the most expensive coal in the world. When it burns blue. And if it catches fire underground, it's almost impossible to put out. An anthracite fire that began in Centralia, Pennsylvania in 1962 continues to burn today. The math is 63 years. On the morning of June 5th, 1919, in Wilkes Barre, 92 men died in one of the worst disasters in the anthracite mines of Pennsylvania. It happened quickly. The men were riding in a line of mine cars when sparks from a trolley wire or a miner's lamp ignited 24 kegs of black blasting powder, loaded in the rear. There was a roar, read a newspaper account, and in an instant, every man and boy on the train was either dead or dying. Not long after that day, while scores of miners were still being treated for burns and amputated arms and legs, 13 local men left their jobs in and around the mines and met at the Grant Street School, christened themselves the Orpheus Glee Club, and began to sing. All the men in the Orpheus Glee Club were either miners or brothers of miners, or sons of miners. They also were mostly Welsh. For them, singing was how they celebrated, and also how they grieved. James J. Davis, a Welshman who became the Secretary of Labor 2 years after the disaster, said in his autobiography, "I think the reason I have never cared for drink is this: the ease from mental pain that other men have sought in alcohol, I always found in song." The whole land of Wales echoes with the folk songs of a people who sing because they must. I know that need, says Stacy Horn. I've been singing with the Choral Society of Grace Church in downtown New York since 1982. When I'm standing up there with the choir, looking out at 1,000 faces glowing in the incandescent light, singing some of the greatest music humanity has ever produced, I believe I know what made those miners sing. It's true that I didn't climb up out of any coal mine, but I've lived half a century now, and you don't live this long without knowing some of life's sorrows. As long as I'm singing, though, it's as if I'm inhabiting another reality. I become temporarily suspended in a world where everything bad is bearable and everything good feels possible. Don't cry, sing, a man with family fighting in Afghanistan tweeted recently. I do both. So ends the reading. Now is the time when we take a collection for the ongoing support of this meeting house and for our shared ministry. As we enjoy a musical reflection by our choir, we welcome your donations. I'm telling you, psychic energy is in the air. The ushers are already coming. We welcome your donations here in the sanctuary or online through PayPal or Venmo. You can find that information on our website, uumh.org. Our 3 volunteers have already come forward to take up our collection on and off site. Your offerings will now be gratefully received. And here's our choir.
Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, sing, sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, sing, sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing to the song. Sing, sing. Now let us sing to the song. Sing, lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing to the song. Sing, sing. Now let us sing to the song. Sing, lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the Lord within. Now let us sing to the song. Sing, sing. Now let us sing to the song. Sing, lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the joy within. Now let us sing to the song. Sing, sing. Now let us sing to the song. Sing, lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith within.
Thank you, choir. So we've been asked to do the sermon for Reverend Kate in 3 voices, and here we go. We're going to try to give it our absolute best shot. The sermon is called Imperfect Harmony. One night at dinner years ago, Rev Kate's 7-year-old foster daughter said, "Did you know that when people sing together, their hearts start beating together?" "Well, that's very cool," said Rev Kate. "Did you learn that at school?" "Yes," the little girl said, "and you should tell them at church." "Should I?" Rev Kate said. "Yes," she said. "It seems like the kind of thing they would want to know." Reverend Kate promised her she would. And so this morning, we are fulfilling that promise. Did you know that when people sing together, their hearts start beating together? A Swedish researcher explains. Using pulse monitors attached to the singer's ears, the researchers measured the changes in their choir members' heart rates as they navigated the intricate harmonies of a Swedish hymn. When the choir began to sing, first their heart rates slowed down. When you sing the phrases, it's a form of guided breathing, says musicologist Bjorn Vikhoff, who led the project. You exhale on the phrases and breathe in between the phrases. When you exhale, the heart slows down. But what really struck him was that it took almost no time at all for the singer's heart rates to become synchronized. The readout from the pulse monitor starts as a jumble of jagged lines, but quickly becomes a series of uniform peaks. The heart rates fall into a shared rhythm, guided by the tempo of the song they are singing. And wasn't that 7-year-old right that this is something we would want to know? It says, Shaw, isn't it good to know in a world that feels so discordant? Okay. This is our worship committee working together. Here. Isn't it good to know? Take it from here and then hand it off to me. I do.
I just want to point out, Rev Kate does this all by herself. Oh, yeah. So, isn't it good to know that in a world that feels so discordant, there is something so simple that we can do to feel in sync with each other? At least for a little while, we can sing together. Composer and conductor John Rutter writes, "Choral music is not one of life's frills. It's something that goes to the very heart of our humanity, our sense of community, our souls. You express, when you sing, your soul in song. And when you get together with a group of other singers, it becomes more than the sum of the parts. All of those people pouring out their hearts and souls in perfect harmony, which is a kind of emblem for what we need in this world when so much of the world is at odds with itself. That just to express in symbolic terms what it is like when human beings are in harmony, that's a lesson for our time and for all time." Sometimes people rather sheepishly tell me, Rev Kate says, that they can't believe that they are willing to go to church. Now, I know we call it the Meetinghouse. We refer to it as a congregation and try to do a lot of other things that make people who are uncomfortable with the word church more comfortable. But whatever we call it, I want to name another reason for you to come here, she says. Church, Meetinghouse, congregation, whatever. This is one of the few remaining places in our culture where we get to sing together, where we get to, through no great effort or act of will, synchronize with those around us, where our hearts get to beat next to other hearts in the same rhythm. Especially for those of us who are not particularly musical, who are not in the choir or in the Outer Cape Chorale, or who don't get up here on this stage for great music at 5 in the summertime, this is a place that we get to sing. And it's a blessing. Here comes Ellen.
Kate remembers a blessing that occurred back when she was in seminary, which is what they call graduate school for ministers. Kate attended Boston University School of Theology, where Martin Luther King Jr. attended. The day of the week she looked forward to the most was Wednesday, because that was the day the School of Theology community lunch. Community lunch was so much fun. Everyone in the school was there, students and professors and school administrators and visiting prospective students all together. And it was the hub of community life. It was where you learned about everything going on, all the announcements, all the gossip. And it was catered, and it was free. And it was no small thing for a struggling graduate student with no income, Kate says. But first, before the lunch, was worship. Community chapel at the historic Marsh Chapel next to the Divinity School. They called it ecumenical, which is a fancy word meaning a worship service that represents all different kinds of Christian churches, but which still made Rev Kate want to get the heck out of there as soon as she could. She hated it. Somehow, no matter what the text of the week was, the subtext of the lesson always seemed to be that she didn't belong there. There always seemed to be some litmus test of the service that she did not pass. There was always a line that shamed or blamed or asked her to repent for something that she did not think was a sin. And a lot of times she just had to get up and leave partway through. Which meant, then, that she did not go to the community lunch. Because she was a heathen, yes, but she was a heathen with manners. And Rev Kate says, even a UU knows that you don't show up for lunch if you don't go to the service. Early on, she figured it was going to be a long, hungry 3 years. So she had to figure out a way to get through those Wednesday chapel services, something that would tie her to her seat. So she joined the choir, the seminary singers. You see, the seminary singers wore choir robes, and those robes had to be returned to the robing room at the end of each service, where choir members would put their robes back on their hangers and collect their book bags and walk over to the community lunch as a group. No slinking out early. It was the perfect plan. And you know what? She started to love chapel because she loved being in the choir. It was wonderful. Singing together like that music was ecumenical. And it didn't shame her like the text did. It didn't disconnect her like the sermons. Instead, it connected her. There was something about the music that transcended the words. Those notes reached down into her heart and wrapped themselves around her like a balm. John F. Kennedy once said, "Behind the storm of daily conflict and crises, the dramatic confrontations, the tumult of political struggle, the poet, the artist, the musician continues the quiet work of centuries, building bridges of experience between peoples, reminding us of the universality of our feelings and desires and despairs, and reminding us that the forces that unite us are deeper than those that divide." Rev Kate felt more connected to the people in the choir around her than she had ever felt to the people in the large, spread-out chapel pews, and she didn't have the words to explain it at the time. But a 7-year-old explained it to her later. Across all their differences of beliefs, their hearts had started beating as one.
Well, Boston University School of Theology has changed a lot over the years. They've become much more diverse. There are many more Unitarian Universalist students there now. In 2019, they even invited then UUA President Reverend Susan Frederick Gray to preach at the Wednesday worship service. It was the first time a Unitarian Universalist had been invited to give the message. Guess who drove all the way up from Provincetown for the occasion? Rev Kate's heart sang in a new way that day, even from the pews. It was worth the trip. Rosemary Watola Tromer is a contemporary poet from Southwest Colorado. She lives there with her husband and daughter. She's also a singer. For over 25 years, Rosemary has performed with Telluride's 8-woman a cappella group, Heartbeat. Now I get why they named it that. And she says she sings through her days as if living in a musical. Since 2006, she's maintained a poem-a-day practice. And since 2011, she has posted those poems on the website 100fallingveils.com. Last month, she posted this poem that stopped Rev Kate in her tracks. It's called, It's a Dangerous Time. In a dangerous time, I think of the bones of the unsung ribcage, the way they protect the heart, how bone, too, is living, how it constantly renews and remakes itself. I think of how ribs engage with other ribs to expand, to contract, and because they do their solid work, they allow the heart to float. This is what I want to do, to be a rib in this body of our country, to make a safe space for love. There's so much now that needs protection. I want to be that flexible, that committed to what's vital, that unwilling to yield. You see, it's the softness of our hearts that connects with one another, but it's the strength of our unwavering ribs that provides those spaces for our hearts to beat in time with one another. So let's be both, Rev Kate says. Let's sing together and let's fight for each other. This afternoon's event is a chance to do both, to lift our voices in song and to raise money for the Homeless Prevention Council, to support those most vulnerable in our Outer Cape community as it gets more and more expensive to live here. Isn't that what we crave sometimes when the world seems to be falling apart at the seams? To remember that despite all that divides us, there are still things that bring us together. Something more ancient than all the ways we have devised to keep us apart from one another. Something that calls us together into one body, one community, protected not just by our own ribs, but by each other's. Did you know that when people sing together, their hearts start beating together? It seems like the kind of thing you would want to know. Amen, and blessed be. And now we get to practice synchronizing our heartbeats. Please join me in singing our closing hymn, number 108 in the Gray Hymnals, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. That's 108 in the Gray Hymnals, My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
Creation through all the
Thank you. May be seated. So it has become our practice to pose a question based on the theme of the service each week. It can be a topic of sharing at coffee hour today or with friends during the week. If you'd like to delve deeper into this topic, we invite you to our midweek Zoom coffee hour on Tuesday at 5 p.m. If you're not on our email folk list and need that Zoom link, please are there two going back and forth? Yes. Yeah. Right. Our heartbeats are getting in sync. Yeah. So if you're not on our email folk list, and there's another one up here that hasn't said anything yet, and you need that Zoom link, please let Kenneth in the office know. Our question this week is, name a time you felt particularly close and connected to the people around you. Name a time that you have felt particularly close and connected to the people around you. We will end this service with these closing words by Israel Bufardi. My friends, when you go from here, know that our hearts are always in a holy place, for we are always connected to one another. Know that deep down, our hearts beat in one universal rhythm. May we each find the sacred space to hear it. Go in peace.